Hi, Kathy Vick, Deeply Awake. Well, I want to tell you about something that has indeed changed for me. And because it's significant and because this is preceded by a 10-page essay talking basically about socialization and this change that's happening energetically. Since that time, there's been a couple more understandings, and so I think it's appropriate to speak. I had a social event that occurred last night that really helped me. At the time, it was, it's still what it was, which was sort of, I guess you could call it disastery, socially. But solically, it was really right on time. Because what it's led me to is a real crystallization of a couple things. I understand very firmly that speaking as a human being, this is what is changed for me as a result of a lot of these activations and the owning of this process. First, that it is real. And it's I think very condescending if someone were to say, well, of course it's real to you. No. In this case, some of the most esoteric stuff that I've ever heard, it goes farther and deeper than anyone I've ever heard, is coming out of my mouth. And some of it, I know, is not going to make a lot of sense until it's in writing. Then there'll be, I don't think a lot of editing is going to be required, but it will certainly lead to a better, I think, at least for me, sense of not only timing, but of depth of information. But I was really kind of worried all this time that if I keep talking, and if I've already talked, I'm going to lose friends. And I'm not going to get along socially. Things are not going to go well for me. La 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 la. They won't like me. That really, honest to God, that sort of was a drumbeat through all of this. Feeling this just sort of quasi-weirdness that, yeah, I know I've got to do this. I'm very aware that it's, I'm not doing this because it's entirely easy, you know? It's just what needs to be done, and I know that. So, here I am. Counterintuitively. And against protestations. And I'm kind of excited about what's going to be happening next for me in my life. But anyway, the idea is that I really have been worried that people wouldn't like me. And then last night happened. And wow. It's been leading up to this. But I don't give a fuck. How's that? I don't care. And I don't really mind if people take offense when I say or do, even if it's in response to their behavior. I'm not caring anymore. It's because I know that my heart is really pure. And I'm not doing anything to take from another, or to harm another, or to make another feel bad about themselves. It's always been very, very, very important to me that I do not make another person feel bad about themselves. Like that they don't have strength, or I don't want to invalidate anyone. You know, it matters to me. So when I say words that are highly invalidating and angry, that's an act of frustration and an act of, I felt a lot like just a wound that was really, really sore. There were parts inside of me that were like hot and were like wounds. and they would burn and make things hard, And it had to do with being accepted, being welcomed, being invited, being belonging. It really, that's what it is. And I think that had to do, looking back on it, on identifying myself as a healer and really not understanding that's what I preferred. Because if you're a nurse, that's sort of the expectation is that people do not treat you sexually. That's just not okay. Really, even as far as I was concerned, it was not okay in coworker situations. It was something that was a rule I broke with regularity, not with regularity, but a couple times, 3 times. Yeah. So it wasn't hard and fast, but it was certainly not expected. And I found that to be a real relief. And so this last year I've been I've been dating and trying to figure things out, and the boy-girl thing at my age or whatever, having basically dropped out of social interactions for 12 years, 13 years. So, establishing myself as a social creature has been part of the gig. It doesn't surprise me, and it doesn't surprise me that I'm a writer, because this wrestling or this trying to figure out the other, that was quite the conundrum. And then free will, how does that all work? And then love. Okay, so let's do all of that. Let's add some real heavy paradox along the way. A lot of I don't know, sleight of hand. And just, relative weirdness. That's what especially the last year has been all about. And it's really come to my attention, especially talking with my sister, how very deep it runs in me, this need to be liked. Not so much liked, but just agreeable, And so that's why it's kind of a big deal, being angry and letting the other person just be angry and just not giving a shit. Fine, have a tantrum. I've got that trained out of me with my husband. Fine, enjoy that tantrum. God, you sure know how to pee on something that was pretty. I mean, a birthday celebration or a vacation or, a night out, whatever. Just be a baby then. Fine, just do it. I don't care. It's just got nothing to do with me. That's all on you. And so I guess, when I have tantrums, it's like, yeah, well, it's kind of nice to be around somebody who'll just take it. But it sure gets old. And I don't have very many. But I have had one over this, why don't you like me shit. And I want to be, I just want to belong crap. So here's the deal. This is so funny. Last night I went to a meet and greet, and I had a date planned with somebody who'd corresponded with me for several months, and I thought it was going to be fun. I mean, I didn't expect a relationship out of it. I just don't even have to feel into it anymore. God. Going to the Botanic Gardens, that was trippy. I mean, it was great being in the lavender fields. It's intense being around people. Ugh. Lordy, I can read them. It's just boom. Oh my God. And I can just see the behaviors and clock everything. It's like, oh my God. And then once in a while, there's somebody who's extraordinary, walking through, and either by sight or by feel, they have, or just by behavior. But there's something about them that is just easier. And then the others clam shut, and just whatever. It's a big deal. So I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to go to this meet and greet, and it'll be fun, and I'll meet this dude finally, and won't that be nice? and we both were running late, and I get there, and none of the women will give me eye contact even. The only thing that was said by one woman was something about the menu when she handed it to me, and it's not for lack of trying, guys. And that's kind of what I need to say, just point blank anymore. I used to consider myself autistic or Aspergery or on the spectrum, and certainly I do have dyslexia and certain tendencies for social interaction that are not understood, because I'm multidimensional, for fuck's sake. I think things through differently. I feel differently than an average bear, and yeah, so do I act weird sometimes? Yeah, kinda. Whatever. It's worth hanging out for, but whatever. So it's hard for me to just walk in. It's just not. I may make it look really easy. Okay, that's the punchline. I may make it really like it's just like my second nature. It's not. But I'm not mimicking other people. I'm genuinely happy to see people. I genuinely enjoy conversation at whatever level. If it has to be about furniture and, your complaints, great. All right. And if there's really no depth there and you've never thought of things like, I wonder why I'm here, well, okay, it might be a short conversation, but it doesn't mean it has to be a bad one. I'm a nurse. I could get along with anyone and see value and actually love anyone. And I walk into this meet and greet, and the dudes only look at my sizable chest, and then it's, between them, it's like, fuck you guys. I know, I don't even have to guess what you're talking about. And fuck you. Is how I felt. So, really, that's the level of discourse at this table. Then I sat down with these women, and they would not acknowledge my presence. So I ordered a sandwich and felt like shit about myself and really embarrassed. Why that behavior should embarrass me is beyond me, but there I was, feeling like shit about myself, eating my sandwich thinking, I probably shouldn't eat anything when I'm feeling like this about myself, because I was so hungry. And I bolted from the table after I was done eating, so happy, because this one really, the creep factor was high, and it was beginning to zero in. It's like, whoa. So I got up, and I found a waiter and said, I'm so fucking creeped out. Will you please just find my waitress and put my money on? So, and the thing is, they're beautiful people. That's the thing it was just like, the energy was so off, and I was not comfortable with the way people were behaving. And I think that was actually a group agreement. But it's like birds of a feather and water seeking its own level and all that. And I think they might have seen me as some sort of interloper. I've been in that situation before. I didn't know any of those people personally, but I knew others who were mutual friends. Counts for something. I showed up. That counts for something. No one asked me if I was waiting on someone. No, it was weird. So, since that time, and so I'm holding no one harmless. It just was like, this is really uncomfortable. And a day, I remember what it was that I was told yesterday for hours, and I couldn't remember it last night because I didn't write it down. And that's that, I'm not a problem that needs to be solved. Neither is anyone else. Voila. It really doesn't feel good to me when I am regarded as problematic. That's about as base as thinking gets. And it's also base for me to think of others as problems that need to be solved. Ew. But I realize that that's kind of how we behave sometimes, or, I think puzzles to solve, well, yeah, who isn't a holographic three-dimensional puzzle that's solving itself? It's kind of fun just to sit back and watch. But to engage each other and discuss that's, damn, is there anything finer than that? At whatever level again. So I'm kind of expecting friendliness, and I didn't get that. And the truth of the matter is that that's been kind of standard fare. Not the sexual nature of it. That was intentional. It was fine, and it creeped me out. So I think what that tells me is, and because I see their behavior is absolutely healthy and valid. So I think what it's telling me is that I'm just definitely running with the wrong crew. Duh. And it was the right crew. What? Okay. And I drove away thinking, I really do value myself higher than this, and I'm really not going to be submitting myself to situations or relationships where there's that kind of behavior of resistance and all that. It's just, oh my God, it was really, really intensely uncomfortable. So what it brings up is normally on a day such as this in the morning time, I would feel so freaking lonely. And I felt really lonely driving there, and I felt super guilty for having had a temper tantrum with somebody and thinking I'd wounded them and all this, whatever. It's like, whatever. Oh my God. But, I mean, partly that's just that I am forgetful, and, there are certain things that stick with me, but, and I never know what's going to stick to someone else. And, so I was feeling bad about having spoken in anger, and feeling just kind of that same old wound, that restlessness, that needing to belong, that wanting to connect, the wanting to. And somehow, through that bizarre experience and my processing of it, I don't really care. I'm waking up this morning thinking, I really think the time of all of that's over. Not only the kind of odd socializing I've been doing, and the circles I've been sort of running with, that's fine. I run with really, really fine circles, really awesome circles, totally cool people. But there are some interactions that feel better than others, and I will honor myself. I will just remove myself from situations that have that signature. And two, what I need to start doing for me is to consciously vibrate as high as I can. I really have been very willing to submit myself to amnesia and hive mind stuff, and that's fine. I it's part of the deal to be aware of group consciousness and That's it's part of the job, but I don't see it as anything to do with me anymore. So the question had been, am I really willing to commit to this as not only a philosophy but a way of life? And what does that mean for me? How does it change how I behave? And how important is it to put other people at their ease when I can walk into a room and no one fucking wants to lift a finger to make it easy on me, and they're hostile? And the people who are hostile are those who are really totally into survival thinking. What I've found, they're thinking slow, and they're just not where I'm at. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm thinking, better things in them. Please don't think that. That's negative ego bullshit. No. No. Haven't I established and made it quite clear that I am a great conversationalist? And, I have an intellect that makes it possible for me to connect with anyone. It's not me who's the problem. And I've been really, really willing to bend and change and mute and morph so that I will make other people comfortable. And I will be less than who I am. It's got nothing to do with what I say. It has to do with how I radiate. It has to do with what I keep in mind as I go along, and how I choose to speak and hold myself. And that's significant. That's a significant shift, and that's why I'm documenting this. I like how complex this has been, and it really does feel like dancing on a tightrope. And I wrote today, first time in a long time. It was a long essay. It was pretty good. Like I said, it had legs. It hangs nice. But I found the thinking merely preliminary. And I find great happiness and freedom speaking. So I'm not going to, after having reviewed a couple of these tapes this morning, and having had some deep thoughts, I think what needs to be acknowledged is that I have a desire and willingness to sustain a level of belief. Cryon talks about cognizing. I believe that I hit cognization phase quite a while ago, and my distress was in not finding others who had cognized a few things. And guess what's happening? So, in my travels, in my social travels, yes, I am meeting my pod. What was discussed in May. And so, even though the delivery may be rough from time to time, the content may be difficult, strenuous, disjointed at times, highly personal, highly self-referenced, it's all perfect. It brings home that this is a personal experience. And in that, there is universality, of course. The mantra, the refrain, I know I'm not the only one. And I know I'm not. Last night I was made to feel as if I was alone. And I think that's what I'm realizing about this relationship. I just kicked in the ass. Is that it's really not okay to be in partnership or in a group and be purposefully made to feel alone or in doubt. Those two things are really unkind and unnecessary, and a function of something I don't understand. And I witnessed it full-blown Technicolor last night. And it's really kind of to me it's magnetic. It feels very magnetic. It almost has a smell to it. There are certain consciousnesses that are just and so I'm not really sure. I think this wound that I'm talking about, this needing to belong, this wanting to belong, it is inflamed when I'm around individuals or groups that behave like that, and I just feel that, and I think really all I'm doing is empathically feeling their stuff. But I personalized it. Matt Kahn said one time, "Hey Pleiadian, Remember to take it, be in your own energy. Stand in your own energy, you little Pleiadian you. And it's really true. It's very easy to personalize this stuff. And so to come to the place where I'm just not going to care. And also what that means is that I get to express as I want to express. And that means, the whole shooting match. Why this should be, revolutionary to me. Well, I had my coding. I had my issues. So, they've been talking about this veil, and I've always seen it as part of the hemispheres. And there's Mead saying the me stuff. And there's one video, oh my God, like little whales, we swim away. And toward the end, I come out of it. And it's fucking freaky. Because it's like two different entities, and that whole thing is just like that. And it's clear that what the teachers are talking about that's teachers full on. This is a little bit different. This is more mergy, and it's a shift. And they're talking about this veil between the personality and the larger consciousness. And there's not much of a partition there. It's very, very, very gauzy. It used to be that I had a black sack over my head. Then there were holes being punched through the sack. Then it began to be more like gauze, black gauze, and then finally it just burned off. That's the progression through the writing that I witnessed. This is a little bit different. This is a veil between, it's the veil. And so, is it going places that people haven't gone before? Well, yeah, in this new energy, yeah, it certainly is. And this is energy that's not been on the planet before. So, and I'm not the only one going through this. I certainly am the only one who can perhaps own this particular story. And I become more and more proud of it, less ashamed of it, less worried how other people are going to judge it, and more happy that it's being said at all. So there was a lot of judgment to fight against, and a lot of it was, kind of close up. And that's how it should be. I was often reminded of Bible passages, that prophets aren't entirely welcome in their own city, and or their own family or whatever. And I think that just speaks to the pressure, the push-pull that we all have to go through to come through. And I would ask the teachers why is it so hard? Why, mommy, why? And why all the bad things that happen, and some of them were pretty bad, even at that age. And they said, well, a lot of you came in early. You came in with problems early, traumas early, things that were intolerable early. And that was purely because you don't get a diamond without pressure and heat. And so you're not going to see an intensity unless there has been intensity within. And they've said a couple times, all these problems are like self-perpetuated. Not entirely. And last night proved it. Because I didn't know how else to play. I was doing everything I knew, and that's not unusual with me. I am doing everything I know how to do to put other people at their ease, and they act like that. What the fuck? This has really been hard, and it's like unspoken. I'm not supposed to talk about it because it's somehow not real or whatever. It was so in my face real, and I'm not I'm really literally not over-reporting the truth of it. I tried, and I physically leaned in, and I was attempting to start I'm highly intuitive, to talk. No, there was no permission, none. And I guess that's how I'm going to close, is that I'm a veteran psych nurse, okay? I've worked forensics, I've worked with murderers, I've worked with people who are so paranoid and psychotic that they were unsafe. And lots of people who I had to personally put in seclusionary restraints, okay? Assaultive people. And all through my career. Assaultive people. Except my time in the hospital. Except when they're delirious. But, assaultive people. I have never been assaulted. The closest we got was a gang of kids who used fire extinguishers to bust out of the unit. That was more of just it felt like an assault because it was the kid I was a primary nurse to, and he had not told me about that. And felt real bad about it. But, so, never. And I learned early on, had explained to me, and then I lived it, that people will not remember what you say. They're not going to remember the content, the reasons why they're calmer. They're just not. They're going to remember if you want to keep them safe, and that you care about them, and that you're listening, and you're not putting them down. They're going to remember your behavior. They will not remember your words. And this was, spoken to people who were going to be taking people down, psychotic people down. And they were going to be in the middle of assaultive situations. And that is how I have de-escalated many highly assaultive people. Because it's the truth, And so knowing all of that, and I really felt, I began to heal as I was driving to the restaurant and feeling like, everything is in divine order, la la la, and I was beginning to really feel like maybe this God stuff was true. And so when I walked in to the restaurant, I was dressed in white, and I was looking good, and I really liked myself a lot. And I sat down, and I held myself as someone who is deeply respected by others. And I just liked myself. And then I looked around me and realized, wow, this is not going to work out. So I'm going to seek out people who are healthy. I think that's a good place to start. I'm going to seek out places that are in nature. I've decided to earn my living in a way that's in accordance with who I am and what I am. And that is going to include for a while reintegrating nursing. I think that it's important, especially after having left so precipitously and, in my opinion, just unpleasantly. I think that 30 years deserves that. But it's just a means, and it's what's appropriate at the time. It's not appropriate to not use my skills when I have a need for an income. That just doesn't seem appropriate, and I'm not able to move things like I want to. There is movement, so I'm not going to abandon it. I abandon things that don't budge. I just don't abandon things that are moving slowly. I see progression, and I see I see good things happening slowly. So I think that's in alignment, and it's something that I can do now, and I really couldn't have. So perhaps this is a final dropping of attachment, and just not caring what anybody has to say. Have your judgments, have your it's fine, and if you value me and you respect me, and I matter, and we're in relationship, then you'll tell me about that. And if not, then okay, cool, you'll ignore me and I'll sit at the table and eat alone. Cool. Yeah, I know about that. I've been through that since I was a kid. That's why I've kind of felt like an alien around here, guys. It's not all because I'm weird. I think that behavior last night was really weird. So maybe I'm just seeing things more clearly about what I value. I don't think that name calling needs to occur, but I know what I value. And it's friendliness, and it's inclusion, it's optimism, it's smiling, it's connection, and it's the things that I know I can enjoy if I keep my head straight in nursing. And I know and have had really easy access to that socially, and it's so fun. And it's really exciting to find people who I really like, and they really like me. It's so awesome. And I have that. And I've been really pissed that it's not been with people who I really like, and they don't like me. They don't. So, I think that's it. I think it's wanting to belong to situations where I am excluded. It really makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? But it's taken me a really long time, and it's really taken me getting over this natural argument that I hear from a lot of people. It's me. It's not them, it's me. No. I know what I'm capable of, and I know how much I love people, and I know how accessible and open and honest and funny I am. And I am really all that in a bag of chips. I really am. And then I listen to the tapes and I read some of the stuff I've done. Oh my God. What? And you want to talk science? You want to talk literature? You want to talk philosophy? And shall I go on? Really, it's just sports that I have not mastered because I don't understand competition. I think it's dumb. So why bother? Yeah, I know a few things, but I think for all intents and purposes it's very low energy bullshit, so I don't pay attention. And I think that's what I'm going to just be okay with saying out loud anymore. How's that? Because I really have edited myself a great deal. And partly, oh, well, you can't judge anyone. Oh, really? Okay. Well, I can have an opinion. And I don't have to like something. That's not, call it a judgment. I'm not saying I don't like you and I think you should die. I'm just saying I don't like that. And I understand that behavior is not personhood. Yeah, that's like psychology 101. How you behave and who you are two different things. But behave a certain way for as long as some people do. I mean, the people around that table, certainly that was their jam. And that's how they are choosing to present. And they don't understand they have an option. They don't understand that people can change and that, they don't get it. So, all right, fine. And I can just tell you that. I just know that. So, la. This is actually leading up to something, guys. I don't know exactly when they're going to be discussing it, but, viruses are low energy. They only attach to those who are vibrating pretty low. And I would suggest that there are a lot of people vibrating kind of low right now. You only have to look onto the media. If it may be at least just the media that's vibrating low. Have you thought of that? Look at what that monster is choosing to focus on. Oh my God. This thing, media, who gave it so much power? Oh my God. But yeah, and the corruption and just the insanity that we can peek into if we want to. Well, I don't belong to that. No. That's really, I don't even understand that shit. I can't understand why anyone's giving Trump a thought. And now I saw scripted news talking about how Trump was beginning to look like he was going to be more moderate in his positions. Do they really think we're going to buy that shit? And there's Ezra Klein arguing with it. It's like, come on, Ezra. Can't you see what's going on? It's just... Because he said there's a lot of people saying this right now. Well, what do you think that implies? It sounded to me like an abused wife who was... that's what they were portraying the American public as. Oh, well, he's going to change. Really? Is that what you think? Or is that what the media writers think? Or is that... What the hell is going on here? What? How can there be any softening of discernment when looking at that man's behavior and what he's saying consistently? And we're asked to believe that he's going to we're asked to not feel insulted when we're invited to think that he's going to moderate his position. Who the hell? And wow, yeah, that's not mine. I don't know where your guys' heads are at, but wow. So I don't know. The whole thing kind of bamboozles me from time to time, and I'm just gonna really be okay with being me. How's that? And it's gonna be weird, and people love me for it. So, namaste.